creating space for yourself, it's not a luxury. It's a requirement if you want clarity, emotional health, physical health, better rest, a life that feels like yours and that you actually enjoy. And I realize that might sound like a catchy intro, but I'm being completely serious. Our world is full of constant noise and distraction, and most people never take a moment to meet themselves. So today I want to dive into why you need space, boredom, stillness, and how to start creating it in a simple and doable way. And I'm actually really excited about this subject because I just think it's so fundamental to our health and it's easy to skip over even for me. By the way, I'm Daniel and I'm a health and life coach who's been doing this for 8 years, helping people with sleep, purpose, emotional growth, stress, self-love, living healthier. And the place we have to start is by creating space. So let's get into it. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you were truly alone with your thoughts? Without a phone, podcast, music, Netflix, a to-do list. Most of us wake up, we check the phones, fill every gap of our day with content, and then collapse at night in front of a screen. There's almost zero empty space, and at first glance that might seem harmless, even productive, but there's a cost, and I see it all the time in my practice. Without space, you don't actually get to process your day. You don't actually feel what you're feeling. You don't hear your deeper desires, your fears, your intuitions. You just stay on a treadmill. Let's look at this on a brain and nervous system level. Constant distraction keeps you in a low-grade on-guard mode, right? So the attention is being pulled, split, hijacked all day, which increases our mental fatigue, our stress, our emotional reactivity over time. When you finally stop and do nothing, something happens. Your brain shifts into what we call the default mode network. This is where it integrates experiences, processes emotions, and makes new creative connection. This downtime is like a cleaning cycle for the mind. And without it, everything tends to pile up. So space is not laziness. Space is maintenance. It's how our system resets. It's how we have been most of our human experience, having lots of space. Never have we been surrounded by so much noise or distraction, if you will. See, boredom gets a bad reputation, but it's actually a doorway. When we stop filling every second, we make space for us to come through. New ideas, creative impulses, honest awareness and how you're really doing. Clarity about what you want more of and what you're done with. And plenty of research shows that periods of boredom and solitude can boost our creativity, our problem solving, our mental clarity, improve the overall well-being of us. Time alone, and I mean just a few minutes, it helps us come back to our own rhythm instead of living entirely in responses to everyone else's, or hijacked in the flow of societal pressure. Consider that solitude doesn't equal loneliness. Healthy alone time is where we strengthen our relationship with ourselves and can actually improve how we show up in our relationships with others. And honestly, as I'm saying this, I realize it's time for me to carve out a little more time for myself to do this as well. It's an easy thing to overlook. Here's the part that most people miss, is that it's all about awareness. Awareness always comes before choice. You cannot choose differently if you don't first notice what you're doing and how you're feeling. If you're not aware you're overwhelmed, you can't choose rest. If you're not aware you're resentful, you can't set a boundary. If you're not aware you're anxious, you can't support your nervous system. And if you're not taking time to check in and listen to how tired you are, then yes, sleep is going to become a challenge too. Creating space is really about creating conditions for your awareness, for you to connect with you. Space gives you a chance to actually hear your own inner signals so you can respond with intention instead of just repeating habits on autopilot like so many of us do. Let's name what all the distractions of scrolling, binge watching TV, multitasking are actually costing us. That constant distraction, it trains your brain to crave quick hits of stimulation, and it makes it harder to focus deeply. It keeps you from feeling your emotions, so they can build up anxiety, numbness, irritability, and burnout. It will also disconnect you from your body's cues, such as fatigue, tension, intuition, so you override them, and you override your own limits and needs. And over time, this looks like brain fog, low motivation, difficulty making decisions, and a vague sense that you're living at least slightly outside of your own life. None of this means you're broken. It just means your system hasn't been given the space to find the awareness it needs to recalibrate. All right, so we recognize taking space for ourselves to check in is valuable, but let's talk about how to actually do this in a way that feels approachable, not extreme. First thing I would suggest is a daily nothing time. 5 minutes. I know, so novel. But once a day, set a timer for 5 minutes. No phone, no music, no content. Just sit or lie down. Maybe notice your breath, notice your body. Where's the tension in it? Where does it feel easeful? Notice your thoughts as they come and go without chasing them. And that's it. The goal is not to have a blank mind. The goal is to build awareness, just seeing what's there and letting it be. Consider device-free bookends, meaning the first 20 to 30 minutes after you wake up or the last 20, 30 minutes before you go to bed. During that time, no phone, no social media. Instead, you stretch, you journal for a few minutes, you reflect on how am I doing really? This creates space for our own voice to show up before you are flooded by the world. A third consideration is mini check-ins through the day. You pick just 2 to 3 anchoring moments, either maybe before a meal or after a meeting, when you get in your car, or when you sit in your bed at night, and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where do I feel it in the body? What do I need in this moment? Rest, movement, water, support, expression. These tiny acts of expression start to rewire you from autopilot towards empowered choice. And actually, while I was putting these together, my 4 favorite suggestions on this subject, I was reminded how much I thrive when I choose a few of these. So I'll be adding these mini check-ins back into my day. My last suggestion is solitude walks. Once or twice a week, go for a short walk with no headphones or phone. Let your attention maybe alternate between your environment, the sounds, the colors, the feel of the air, or your inner world, your emotions, your thoughts, your body's sensations. Just let things come up that need to. Allow. We aren't doing this to fix or analyze, simply just to become aware. Now, a really important disclaimer here. If you are new to taking space for yourself, expect discomfort. When you first create space, your system might rebel. You might feel restless or anxious or bored, flooded with thoughts or feelings. And this doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It means that all the things that you usually outrun or with distraction are finally getting a chance to show up. And this can be so beautiful. So in these moments, try just taking a few slow breaths. Stay with yourself. It's okay to feel this. I don't have to solve this right now. Shortening your practice if needed, but not abandoning it completely. And remember that awareness can feel uncomfortable at first, but it's the only doorway to real freedom because you can't release what you won't let yourself notice. So here are the core messages. Space gives you room to breathe. Awareness lets you see what's really happening inside. And from that awareness, you can finally choose how to respond, when to say yes, when to say no, and what kind of life you want to build. Without space, you stay in reaction. With it, you can step into creation. So if you're ready to start, here's an invitation. For the next 7 days, give yourself 5 minutes of nothing time each day. No distractions, just you and your inner world. And at the end of the week, ask, what did I notice about myself that I would have missed before? And if this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments what kind of space you're committed to creating for yourself. You deserve a life that's not just full, but it's felt, chosen, and truly yours.